Welcome back, my people, and you're watching Rock's Movie Reviews, and we're going to be discussing Scream Part 2. And in my prior review, we discussed the classic Scream, and that movie was flawless. And now we come and we're going to speak about Scream 2, which came out in 1997, a year later after the original. And this movie was highly entertaining. It was a highly entertaining sequel. This movie follows the story right where, pretty much where it left off, 2 years after the events in the film, of the previous film. There's a movie named Stab that's based on those events that occurred in the first movie, and it's about to be released. And sure enough, Sidney, the main character from the first movie, played by Neve Campbell, and her friends find themselves being stalked by a new Ghostface. And Scream worked so well because it knew it was a horror movie. It knew the cliches and knew how to have fun within that realm. There's no question the sequel was made to cash in on the success that the first one had. Thankfully, there's no question that the screenwriter, Kevin Williamson, in this movie also knew that this thing that they formed was going to keep pushing along with this sequel. There's a terrific sequence early in the film where there's some film students that are discussing good and bad sequels in the classroom. And I thought that was really funny because we got Randy, who survived the first movie here. Spoiler alert if you didn't watch my first review. And he's giving us the rules to survive a sequel. And it's so ironic because this is the sequel. The screenplay certainly makes the mystery of the movie deeper and adds some higher quality, especially when it comes to the death scenes. But perhaps one of the most interesting aspects doesn't get covered as funny as it could be or could have been. I think the movie would have been a bit better if they toned down some of the culture references, and instead they took a closer look at the violence in the movies and how it might have related to the violence in the real world. I'm touching on it briefly, and even as motivation for one of the killers, that they use this. Those are old enough to remember when this film was in the theater. You remember there were some copycat killers in the first film. And so it's clear that both the screenwriter and the director are stating their opinion that you can't blame movies. It's just too bad that this wasn't explored a little more in depth in the movie. As with the first film, they cast hit all the right marks. You have Neve Campbell, who's perfectly casted in this movie for the second time. And as the victim, we get some of the best performances from her. We get Lee Schreiber. We get Jamie Kennedy back. We get Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy, makes a cameo. We get the two of them who had a remarkable chemistry in the first film, Gale Weathers and Dewey, David Arquette and Courtney, who were married in real life at the time. Their chemistry definitely is very noticeable in the film, and it carries over to this film. The death scenes were a bit more violent. I loved that because if you know me, I love my carnage candy. And they were handled very well by Craven, who certainly hasn't forgot how to stage a scene. The highlight of the film is the sequence where Sidney and her friend are trapped in the back of a police car with the killer in the front seat passed out. The two girls had to try and crawl over with their freedom. And I'm not gonna spoil the scene for you, but suspense is written all over the scene. And I think the identity of the killer isn't as good as the first film because it's not a mystery. It's pretty relevant. I think within the first half hour, you know who the killer is. while Scream 2 isn't a masterpiece, it is a rare positive sequel. Usually the sequels aren't even good. This certainly isn't as good as the original, but it's a good way to continue the story. It follows the first film's formula really closely, and that's what makes the movie very effective. The sequel references the past franchises that came before it, and I liked that. Like I said, it's not as good as the first, but very, very worthy. We all know the original Scream was a classic, so the sequel had a lot to live up to. And it was a worthy sequel for the most part, though it didn't entirely succeed for me. The story is less fresh and less original, but it's not that it wasn't efficiently paced. It's more or less the way the killer's reveal was predictable. However, the production values are high quality. The music was great. The score was unsettling. The music will haunt you, and the sound is still, unsettling. You can still hear it even when you turn off the movie. There's still some funny lines. There's genuine scares. The credible direction from Wes Craven and the return of the iconic Ghostface character was amazing. The acting is still good. So overall, worthy sequel. Not up there with the classic, but I give this movie a 7 out of 10. And let me know what you thought about this movie. The opening scene, amazing. Just like the original. But it quite didn't live up to the original. But leave your comment. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. And please subscribe to the next one.